All right. Well, we're gonna go for it, and I'm gonna teach a few things, move a few things, and then we're going to jump into some Q&A in a little bit, maybe discussion. It's always helpful if you're able to turn on your camera. It's nice to look at people's faces and see. Oh, here we go. See, you just got to start talking, and more people will show up. So it's good to see you. Make sure, if you can, to turn on those cameras if you're able to. It's good to chat. My name is Brett. I am. Oh, I'm just gonna wait for Laces. He's connecting here. I don't want to rush ahead because he's connecting. Gone. Not even here. Okay, great. Connected and then gone. So my name is Brett. I'm the lead pastor, actually, of two churches that are becoming one right now in a season of transition. Engaged Church, which I planted 8 years ago in Spruce Grove, Alberta, which is just 15 minutes outside to the west of Edmonton. We launched a second location a couple years ago in a community called Stony Plain, which is a little further west. And then this last summer, a church here in Edmonton called West Edmonton Christian Assembly approached me about becoming the lead pastor of their church, was a large Pentecostal church here in the city, as well as leading the other churches and pulling it all together in one church, one large multi-site church. And so that's what I've been doing. But I've been in vocational ministry for about 13 years, not all of it full-time. I spent 5 years bivocational, 1 year managing a Starbucks, 4 years actually working in local government, working for the city of Edmonton for a city councilor. And so I've had the ability to kind of shift between worlds and move between worlds. Some of my background early, I have a music degree. I went to Bible college here in Edmonton. I was in a band, toured, made albums, did an album in Nashville, toured Central America, South America, North America, and did that before transitioning into pastoral work at a church called People's Church, and then started planting churches. Planted my first church at 24, second church at 26, and then I've been doing that ever since. So it's been a fun season. But today we're talking about inspire to innovate, and innovation or innovating is a really interesting subject. My friend Brady Shearer, who's the founder and CEO of Pro Church Tools, which is, I would say, the best church communications resource out there for you and your church. Brady says that we're living in the biggest communication shift since the printing press. So for 500 years, this is the biggest shift that we've ever seen. I mean, if you think about just 10 years ago, was there social media? Was there iPhones? All those things. I remember I was in grade 12. I was in high school, grade 11 and 12. We had an exchange student come back from Finland, and they told us in our class that nobody talks on the phone anymore. Everyone's texting. And we did not believe her. In a year or two, we were all texting. Nobody was talking on the phone anymore. It's amazing how things are shifting and changing, and we're moving forward at such a rate. I want us to anchor our thought in 1 Chronicles 12, and you're most likely familiar with this, the men of Issachar. So as they're leading off all these warriors who are joining David's army, they talk about this small group. There's only 200 of them, and that's significant because, if you just look at the numbers around them, Dan brought 28,600. Manasseh brought 18,000 men. There's 6,000, 4,000, all the way through. From Zebulun, there's 50,000 warriors, but there's these 200 men from Issachar that. We've got these 200 men from Issachar, and that's so significant. What is interesting about these guys? They're 200 leaders of the tribe with their relatives, and all these men understood the signs of the times, and they knew the best course for Israel to take. They knew how to understand what was happening in the world right now. If you want to innovate, if you want to lead in an innovative fashion, we really have to learn how to understand what's happening around us, what the times look like, what's going on in the world, what's going on with technology, what's going on in the hearts of people, and then really trying to understand and build a strategy around the times, understanding that we're not married to our method, but we're married to our message, and that we put our hope and our trust in Jesus, in our Savior, and we trust in him. So it's not really about what we're doing or how we do it. It's about who. We're doing it because of Jesus. And in the same way, if I was trying to figure out where we are right now in history, I believe that right now we are in the greatest reformation of the church since Martin Luther. that we have not seen a reset like this in church for hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, it's like when you call an IT department and there's something going on with your computer, and they say, hey, you need to shut it down. You need to restart. You need to restart your computer. You just need to, there's so many tabs open. There's so many programs running in the background. You just need a hard reset. You need to start it again. And that's really, I think, what's happening right now in church is that we've had so many tabs open, so many programs running that we kind of forgot. We need to make the main thing the main thing. We need to set our eyes on Jesus. We need to dial in to what he has for us. And so when we're talking about this idea of innovation, remember, the first thing I want you to remember is it's not how, it's who. We're doing it for Jesus. But in the same way, it's not how, it's who. The best innovation happens in a team. Innovation does not happen in isolation. Innovation does not happen in isolation. It doesn't happen alone. It doesn't happen when you're by yourself. It happens in a team. Think about this in 1 Samuel 22 verse 2. This is describing David and his group, his army that was gathering as he was fleeing Saul. It says, and everyone who is in distress and everyone who is in debt and everyone who is bitter in soul gathered to him, and he became commander over them. And there were with him about 400 men. They had 400 men who were broke, in debt. They were broken. They were broken. You know, that's who was gathered to this hodgepodge ragtag group. Now that's 1 Samuel 22. If you fast forward to 2 Samuel 23, you see them actually the same people described as David's mighty men. See, I think we're looking for a solution that God is asking us to build, not to find. In innovation, we're like, if I could just hire that one person, that would fix my problem. If I could just buy that one piece of equipment, that would change. It's not about that. He's asking you specifically in this season to build it. You build it. You don't buy it. You build it. Creativity and innovation is not about budget. Creativity and innovation is not about budget. It's about people, okay? Innovation, creativity is not about budget. It's about people. The number one complaint I think I hear is we don't have enough budget. We don't have enough budget. Or I hear other pastors, leaders say, how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, let me tell you a great story. When we planted our church in Spruce Grove 8 years ago, we started with 24 people. It started growing over time. We got up to about, I think we were about 150 people at this time. We had a 4,000 square foot building, tiny building. And it was a lease space. And we had a great family come to the church. The husband was an engineer and the wife was a photographer. Amazing couple, still in our church today. And he had a passion for lights, like moving lights in production. So what he started doing was he's like, hey, I would like to put some lights in the church. We had, your typical kind of like, basic stage lighting, nothing fancy. And he said, I want to do this for you. So what he started doing is searching eBay. This is his gift. He started searching eBay and he found broken lights, and he would buy all these lights and all these parts, and then he would fix them, and he would sell them, and he would fix them, and he would sell them, and then he would get the things that we needed. We ended up in a town of 36,000 people. We ended up leading the church with the highest level of production in our city, and our lighting cost was under $500. See, it's not about the budget. It's about the people. It's about the right people at the right time doing the right thing. It's about you as a leader releasing that right person into that right thing. I could say, you know what? It's okay. We don't need it. We don't want it. It's fine. You're busy. You're a busy guy. Well, I guess if we've learned anything, that if you need to get something done, you guys always got to ask a busy person, and the busy person will get it done. But creativity and innovation is not about budget. It's about people. Craig Groeschel has this quote, and I've seen it in many places, but I think I'll just attribute it to Craig for today. It's restraint breeds creativity. When we have a ceiling, when we have a lid, when we're capped, we're maxed, we can't do anything else, that's when the best innovations come out. When we've got a deadline, we've got a timeline, that's when we do our best work. That's why the enemy of it's possible, the very thing that you think is the solution to your creativity is actually the enemy of your creativity. If I gave you more budget, if I gave you more stuff, if I gave you more people, if I just handed it to you, there's a chance that you might not know how to use it, or it might, it would never be enough. The answer, especially when we're talking about technology, there's never enough. It's always changing. It's changing so fast, you can't keep up. You can't keep pace. So, but what we can do is we can build amazing people as leaders. And by build, it's not so much you doing something as it is you letting go of something, you giving an opportunity, you releasing into it, and you can release into volunteers, and in some stage you release into church staff, and in some ways you bring in contractors, and there's all different approaches. Now, I sit on the lean side. As we were pastoring Engage, we only had 3 staff. In church of almost 400 people, we had 3 staff. There's a lot that volunteers can do. And I think part of innovation actually starts with setting a standard and setting a bar that says, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to achieve. This is where we're trying to go. And as you call people to that level, it's amazing what happens as an organization, as a church, as a family. You all begin to rise, right? You begin to rise as a family. Let's look at Matthew 25. And you're probably familiar with this. This is Jesus telling a parable. He says, to the one he gave 5 talents, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, depending on each one's ability. Then he went on a journey. Immediately the man who had received 5 talents went, put them to work, and earned 5 more. Now, we all know, most of us know that story, that the one with 2 did the same thing, multiplied it. But the one with 1, he was so afraid, he just buried it in the ground, didn't put it in the bank, didn't make any interest, did nothing with it. The truth is, what I'm looking for often is 2 to 5 talent people. But oftentimes, the 5 talent people were 2 talent people who were given opportunity, work hard, grow. Then they grow into 4 talent people, and all of a sudden they're 8 talent people, right? Like, it just keeps multiplying. I think we're looking for a 5 talent person to fix all of our solutions. And the truth is, the solution is sitting right in front of you. The question is, are you willing to release somebody in it? So what I am doing right now is I'm going to shift gears, and I want to give 10 tips to inspire innovation. 10 tips to inspire innovation. And we're going to tie in to some of the verses that we've laid as a backdrop, and we're also going to tie in to some of my personal experience, because I think it's best to talk from our experience, and then we'll save a few moments for some questions and for discussion with whoever who's on here. And if you're watching the recording, hey, it's so great to have you later. Too bad you couldn't be here now. I mean, I'm not saying you're regretting your session that you're in, but this one is the one to be in. Okay, here we go. 10 tips to inspire innovation. The first one, find the willing, not the wanted. We find the willing, not the wanted. We think about David's mighty men. Nobody wanted those guys, but they had, a heart to follow. They had a heart to grow, and they grew into becoming the people that everybody wanted. If you find the people who are willing, you will actually end up finding the wanted. We've kind of got a joke around here this summer. A bunch of our team and our staff, was tried to get recruited to other places. And, at first you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. But then you're like, that's a great compliment. We've got amazing people who do amazing things. And it's awesome that other people want them. And it's even better when they want to stay here with you. But we think about David's mighty men. Again, this is the idea of building great people, building big people, giving big opportunity to people at the right season, at the right stage, trusting them. Even today, we were sitting in a meeting with the team, and I've got, this is taking a team right now. Literally, you don't know, but Levi's sitting behind us, and he's our video director, and he's making everything happen. And he's doing all this stuff for us. I could do a Zoom call, but I couldn't do this kind of Zoom call that looks like this, But we were sitting in a meeting today, and I said, hey, guys, it'd be a great idea if we did something like this. And our online pastor and our video director, like, oh, yeah, we're already on it. Like, we've been doing it for weeks. It's like, oh, great. But there's something that happens when you pass it on and you give an opportunity, and then people rise to that level of occasion, and all of a sudden they're thinking so far beyond you that you're just trying to play catch up. I think we limit or we cap innovation when you as a leader has to be the smartest person in the room. Okay, number 2, character over talent every time. It's character over talent every time. We can train, we can develop. I want to give Levi's here, so I'm going to use Levi. Levi was volunteering long before he ever started working here. And he sewed in and he gave of his time. Video director, obviously COVID happens. He runs his own business. And then all of a sudden we're obviously needing help. And that thing that he's been praying about, believing for, serving towards, he's now, on staff in there doing his job. But he's high character, high capacity, high calling, high talent, high creativity, character over talent every time. The truth is, I will always take somebody who has a heart to learn, an active learner, who wants to learn and grow, who has not arrived. I will always take somebody of character over somebody of talent. Now, this is not a hard and fast rule, but I've found that some of the most talented people have had the hardest time because they have not had to work through the same things that you or I have had to work through. So the work ethic isn't developed. And I'm not saying you can't develop it later, but if you're a high talent individual, it takes more, and actually takes more character correction to get them to have their character balance the check that their talent wrote. So character over talent every time. If you're building a great team, and if you want to have an innovative team, you need to have high character people. You need to find the willing, not the wanted. Number 3, it's always brains over budget. Always. We can put our heads together. We can figure it out. It's brains over budget every time. You need to understand the time that you're in. And when you have an opportunity to seize and make an investment in equipment or gear, you should do that at the right time, at the right moment. I'm not saying don't do that, but I think sometimes we reach for the big budget item instead of really understanding it's a people problem, not an equipment problem. It's brains over budget every time. Here's probably what I think is going to be one of the most important ones. Number 4, we can't be afraid to fail forward. It's my favorite activity, is failing forward. In fact, I guess I would go as far as to define myself as a failure, because I would rather fail constantly than succeed constantly. Because if I'm failing constantly, it means I'm learning something constantly. There's nothing scarier than succeeding at something and having no idea why it's working. Because you can't build on it, you can't replicate it, you can't duplicate it. So we got to be, if you want to be innovative, you got to be not afraid to take a risk. You got to be willing to fail forward. My dad always told me, listen, you can learn so much more from what not to do than you can from what to do. So we take a risk, we try things, we test things. We're taking a risk right now. I came in this morning and I was like, hey guys, I don't think I just want to sit at my desk and do a Zoom. I want to do it different. So this is our live pre-show and post-show set from our online church. And I said, hey, I want to do it a little bit different. I want to sit at the table. I want to do it. And these guys came up with a great plan. Levi had put it all together and made it happen. We're going to fail forward. And if it didn't work, we could always pivot back to the other way. But we got to fail forward. Okay. Next one, number 5, give tangible examples of your big goal. So anyone on our team will attest to this. I send reference material constantly. And what I mean by reference material is, hey, to our worship guys, hey, I love this song. I love this video. I love this production element. You see the way the lights are. I love the way this LED screen is positioned. Hey, Levi video, I'm going to send you this worship video. I love the style, the way that they're filming it. And now Levi's doing that with his team. Every Thursday, he sends out an email saying, hey guys, look at this. We're inspiring. We're giving tangible examples of our big goal. So I mentioned Brady Shearer off the top of this session. Brady is a good friend of mine and CEO, founder of Pro Church Tools, phenomenal leader in the communication space. If you don't know him, you're going to want to follow him immediately. But Brady was my intern at one time. And when Brady was my intern, he had never done video in his life. Now it's his bread and butter. It's his whole life. It's everything. His company's built around it. But Brady was my intern, and I knew that he knew how to do music. He had produced his own album, and it sounded great. And me being in that world, I knew that video editing was kind of close to video editing. So music and video is similar. And so we got him a camera. We had a camera at the church, and I said, okay, you're my summer intern. I just want you to learn how to do this. And I gave him a vision video from City Church, Judah Smith. This is like mid-2000s. I said, okay, I think it's going to take you 2 years to figure out how to make this kind of video. It made everything look miniature in the city. It was this whole thing. It was very cool. And I said, this is where I want you to go. So I gave him that task. I gave him that project. I showed him that reference material. And he came back to me in 3 weeks and he had made something that looked exactly like it. I thought it was going to take him way longer. That's kind of how we knew that we're onto something, that he was onto something, that he was the right type of person, that he had the willing heart. He wasn't yet, we didn't know that he had the talent, but we knew he had the drive. We had the ability to learn. He was a big character. He had lots more brains than he ever had budget. And we gave him a tangible example of a big goal, and that moved us forward. But that caused us then to say, okay, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And that's the next one I want to lead us to, is aim for excellence. Aim for excellence. But when we aim for excellence, here's a tip to aim for excellence, because I think excellence is misconstrued. It's not about being the best. It's about doing your best. It's about being your best. That's what excellence is. And as a tip for excellence, what we want to do is we don't want to look around. We want to look ahead. I think maybe a mistake that I see some fellow leaders make is they want to know what that church is doing down the road, and that church is doing down the road. And what are these guys doing? No, you don't look around. You look ahead. Who's the best in that space? Who's doing things that you never thought possible? And why are you only looking in church space? If you're looking online, you should be looking in tech. If you're looking at video, you should be looking at TV. Who are you looking at? What are you looking at? Don't look around. Look ahead. That moves us to our next one. As time is winding down, we're going to go left when everyone else is going right. So I think maybe the best example that I can give is something that we just did here in the middle of COVID. We were trying to figure out how to reach shut-ins in Alberta. You can't go to visit seniors. You can't go to their seniors complexes. They're all kind of shut down. I was telling a friend at lunch, my grandparents, I haven't seen my grandma since June. We can talk on the phone, but there's only one visitor allowed on the list. And so that's been difficult. So what do? Well, there's no sports. So I approached a local sports radio station. We bought airtime on Sunday mornings for next to nothing, because there's no sports. There's nothing on a sports talk radio station. And we broadcast our Sunday messages on Sunday mornings on the radio, because a senior might not know how, without help from a family member, to get onto Facebook or YouTube, but they definitely know how to turn on the radio, and they definitely know how to listen to AM radio. We go left when everyone else is going right. It doesn't mean we didn't double down on video. We did, 100%. We had, amazing team rallying, doing incredible things. But we also go left when everybody else is going right. That's how you take steps towards innovation. Another step, this is the final 3 here. Do 1 or 2 things really well. Do 1 or 2 things really well. I think we try and bite off too much. And we think that we got to be all things to all people. We got to do everything for everyone. And the truth is, you can't, and you won't be able to. So pick your 1 or 2 things that you're going to do really, really, really well. Dial into it, invest into it, build great people around it. Once you've hit a level of mastery, move on to the next one. The truth is, you'll know that you're ready to move on to the next one when the thing that you thought was hard has become easy. And now you move on to the next one. So do 1 or 2 things really, really, really well. Again, restraint is the breeding ground for creativity. So you do 1 or 2 things, you crush it out of the park, you pour everything into it, and then you move to the next thing, then you move to the next thing, then you move to the next thing. Okay, number 9, fill a gap, don't reinvent the wheel. So we bought a bus as a church. We bought an old transit bus, blacked it out, painted it black, and we used it to take people to and from the food bank in our community, because in our small communities in Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, they don't have public transit. And so we knew that there was a gap, because I served on the food bank board, that people couldn't get to the food bank because of where it was located. So we bought a bus and we created a solution to a problem that we knew that existed, that nobody else was handling. But we stayed in, literally, I guess, and figuratively, we stayed in our lane. We literally take people to and from the food bank for free, but we don't provide food. The food bank does. Now in COVID, that shifted. We did start doing deliveries, but we do deliveries for the food bank, and we have a hamper program. But pre-COVID, we just do one thing. Okay, last one. You need the right tool for the job. You need the right tool for the job. So don't be afraid to invest when the time comes in the right tool for the job, but buy it once. Don't always take the cheap option because you think you can get more for your money. Buy the right thing at the right amount. Do your research, do your homework, and make sure that you're getting the right thing. And remember, people over equipment first. It's great that you have the best cameras in the world, but if you have no operators, it's a real problem. Right? It's amazing that you have an incredible, like the best lighting system in your city, but if you don't have somebody who can run those lights for you, and I'm not talking about an outside contractor you got to pay, if you don't have somebody inside who can do it every Sunday, week after week after week, you might as well not have the lights at all. So it's you need the right tool for the job. That's people first, then equipment. But when the time comes to invest, buy the right thing, not the cheap thing. Okay. Now sometimes the right thing is the cheap thing. But oftentimes it's better to save up and buy one really nice thing than it is to buy three of the really cheap thing, because it's just going to break. You're going to spend 3 times as much money down the road. Okay, we've only got a few minutes left. I'm getting a warning sign that we got to get back into conference in a few minutes. There's just a few of us here. Why don't we just transition quickly into any questions or thoughts or comments? If anyone at all, jump in and repeat points number 4 and number 9. Okay, number 9 is fill a gap. Don't reinvent the wheel. So don't duplicate a service. Fill a gap. Don't reinvent the wheel. And number 4 is fail forward. Okay. So I can go through the list really quick. Number 1, find the willing, not the wanted. Number 2, character over talent every time. Number 3, brains over budget. Number 4, fail forward. Number 5, give tangible examples of your big goal. Number 6, aim for excellence. Number 7, go left when everyone else is going right. Number 8, do 1 or 2 things really well. Number 9, fill a gap. Don't reinvent the wheel. And number 10, you need the right tool for the job. Any other questions or thoughts as we wrap this thing up? Again, my name is Brett, pastor Engaged Church. You can find me on Instagram at Brett Esslinger, BrettEsslinger, or I guess you can see my name on Zoom, on Facebook, on Instagram. Love to connect with you, love to follow with you. Happy to answer any questions. Our team would love to help you in your church in any way. So feel free to reach out at any time. Engaged Church is our church, but also scatteredsaints.ca, as we're in the midst of bringing 2 churches together. Scatteredsaints.ca is our website and kind of our rallying cry right now here in COVID. Hey, listen, it's been so great to have you with us. We're getting the reminder to head on back to our main session. So thank you for joining me. For everyone watching this later, you really should have been here. It would have been great. I can't wait to see you next time here at MFI, and have a great day, a great week, and an amazing Sunday. Have a great one, everybody.